Good evening. Regular session, Mayor and City Council, meeting 6 p.m. Wednesday, November 13th. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation will be read by Pastor Asad Crespo, por favor, Pastor. Centro Familiar Cristiano.
Le doy gracias a Dios por la oportunidad que me da de estar aquí para que juntos oremos por que Dios bendiga nuestra ciudad, al mayor Arturo Gadino por esta invitación y a todos ustedes aquí presentes. Señor y Padre nuestro, te doy muchas gracias. Y también te pido, Señor, sabiduría como pediría Salomón delante de tu presencia para gobernar, para decidir, para traer bendición a nuestra querida ciudad de Nogales, Señor. Te pido, Señor, con todo nuestro corazón, que llenes nuestros corazones y nuestras mentes de sabiduría para decidir lo mejor. También te pido fortaleza para hacer, Señor, lo que cada uno de nosotros nos corresponde hacer para el bienestar de nuestra ciudad, de nuestra comunidad, de nuestras familias. Señor, te queremos dar gracias por la oportunidad de servirte de esta manera. Y no solamente por la fecha que se avecina, sino por todo lo que tú nos has dado y todo lo que tú nos vas a dar. Señor, te pido con todo mi corazón que en esta tarde, Señor, tú nos bendigas y nos guardes, hagas resplandecer tu rostro sobre nosotros, llenes de bendición nuestros corazones y pongas en nuestros hogares paz, alegría y felicidad todos los días. Gracias por nuestra ciudad, gracias por las decisiones que se van a tomar en este momento, Señor, en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén. Amén. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Pastor. Item number 4, call to the public. I have one speaker form. Manny Lopez. State your name, your address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, City staff, Nogales, right? Nogales, My name is Benny Lopez from the VFW here in Nogales, and the reason I'm here is to do a follow-up, and hopefully a final follow-up. I passed out this information here, and I'll just go quickly read through it for the audience. This letter is a follow-up status report related to the 201st Squadron Aztec Eagles Memorial, which will be built at the Nogales City Hall Park. First of all, a major change in plans to the memorial. Instead of a wall in recognition of the 201st, our memorial will be a step-up pyramid, which will be constructed with photos of the 201st members. Clearly, we will make history by erecting this memorial pyramid to their everlasting memory. Second, the pyramid itself will start as an 8x8 section with 3 feet high, and then the following section will be 6 feet, 6x6, then 4x4, then 2x2, and then 1x1. And right now I'm working on an eagle that will be placed on top, overlooking the members of the 201st. Also, the pyramid will be situated to the right of the large water fountain. It wasn't, I provided the master copy to you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And that one came out okay, but the other copies, the lady couldn't get them centered, but you kind of get the idea. I got an extra one here actually, Joe, if you want. And what it is just next to the fountain itself here, right here. Where the 3 trees are, and the fountain is right here. And it's just gonna need an area of 8x8 8 by 8 feet. We're gonna include a fence, kind of like a secure fence. There's a couple of photos from City Hall in Tucson. It's the Battle of the Balls, and they had a really nice fence securing the Battle of the Balls monument there. I talked to George Leon from Home Depot, the store manager of Home Depot, and he's really waiting patiently for this, and he's looking forward to it. One of the things that was interesting back in August, I received a telephone call from a representative of the Institute of Texas Cultures, the University of Texas at San Antonio, in association with the Smithsonian Institute in San Antonio, Texas, requesting information from me, which was incredible because I don't know how they got my phone number, I don't know how they found out about us, but they clearly know about Nogales, and they clearly know about this awesome project. So I still think we are the leader there. What they had in San Antonio is a display, a huge display of photographs and just information about the 201st. And you get a copy of it there. On the 4th page, it talks about what they're, I'm planning on going before it closes down. I wasn't sure if I should provide it with that information or whether I was in liberty to do that since we got it through the Consulate Mexicano and the Mexican government. So this is our thing. You know, this is our project. This belongs to Nogales. It's going to belong to the Mexicanos. And I'm thinking that with the guidance and support of city staff, we can complete this project in a timely manner. This would be a great present for the Mexicanos for Christmas and for this community as a whole as well. I request that, I think that the 7-foot high pyramid itself, I don't know if it complies with the rules or regulations as to what is, you know, the requirements are. If there is some kind of requirement where members of the city council will have to address that. Otherwise, we're looking at about 7 feet plus the eagle. Okay. And if you have any questions or anything, my phone number's there below, and you can contact me anytime. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Now that we have this depiction, this rendition with us, we'll go ahead and submit it to planning and zoning to help Mr. Lopez go through the process. The question on the table, maybe something to address at the end of this agenda, is whether or not you guys want to have as a future agenda item what this is looking like, or that it's okay with you. This is not an action item right now, so I just want to make sure that that's okay with the council before we proceed. Anything we can do to help Mr. Lopez is what we've committed to do quite some time ago as a city. So staff is anxious to help with that. We just want to make sure it's in line with what you guys want to do, and it adds value to the park that we've invested so much in.
Okay. Right. Okay, Mr. Barry. All right, item number 5. Is there anybody else in call to the public before I go any further? No? Okay. Item number 5, Mayor and Council's report on current events. I'm going to start with myself today. October the 4th, I had a meeting with Customs Border Protection. Government shutdown effects on the border. It's basically, they came to give us a presentation to actually letting us know that, well, they were worried about, a lot of people were worried about what was going to happen with the shutdown. And the government shutdown, and basically Homeland Security came to talk to us and let us know that it wasn't going to affect anything in Nogales, which basically it didn't. So that's what that meeting was for. October the 5th, I participated in Serve the City campaign to clean up Mariposa Road. It was a great day. A lot of the police officers participated. Mr. Dilly, Mr. Kissinger were there, and we did a major cleanup. You know, the only thing is that after we cleaned up, 2-3 days later, the construction company showed up and started tearing up the sidewalks that we cleaned up. But it's okay because they're gonna do a great job there, also expanding the road. So
We made it easier.
yeah, we made it easier for them to actually blue stake. But we had a great day that day. October 7th, Domestic Violence Candlelight Vigil and Walk. I participated on that also, and I presented a proclamation from my office that I also read there at the county courthouse. October the 9th, there was a Cochise College grand opening, the college district. Several of you participated in that, and it's very good for our community. A great job on the district, and from what I understand, they're expanding also. So let's hope that everything is successful and for the education in our community. Also, that same day, I spoke in the local News Now interview about binational relations and about trade with Mexico and how our region is going and being in support of the binational relations with Mexico and also for our economic development. October 11th, I spoke and I hosted the Greater Tucson Leadership Group by Binational Trade, Commerce, and Border Security here in the council chamber. There were, I don't know, I guess there were about 55 of them that came from Tucson. And then after that, there was some presentations. After they left here, they did a tour of the port and different areas of Nogales just to see, so they could identify and take the message back to their communities of how important Nogales is. And also, there was a presentation by the Fresh Produce Association, I believe, and the Port Authority after that in the afternoon. On October 15th, I attended the 90th anniversary of the library, which is very, very good. I found some of the speakers had some good information, some good memories of the old library, and well, we used to use our library cards back then. We used to laminate our library cards back then, and once, if you laminated it and you got stopped in Nogales, Sonora by a police officer, and you showed them that was your driver's license, and it did work. Just for information. Back then you couldn't use a library card. It doesn't work anymore, but it was, and everybody felt the same way. And then on the 22nd, well, I underwent a full hip replacement at the VA hospital, which I'm very pleased with the work they've done, and that's exactly 3 weeks ago. And tomorrow I'll be participating in my first 5-kilometer run. And remember that one?
And you won.
And I won, and I will win. No. And I'm doing very well, thanks. And that's one of the things I just want to say. The job that they're doing at the VA hospital is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. It's state-of-the-art hospital. It's something that you know. I'm glad that I'm a veteran, that I was able to get my operation there, but also I've been participating there for the past 4 years in certain events, and I had always noticed how professional they were, but not until you go and be part of a surgery that's being conducted on you and how they do the work and everything. They're so professional. It's unbelievable. And Tucson should be proud, and actually the state of Arizona should be very proud. I was talking to Mr. Parada about that, and he remembers also in the past how that hospital was basically a hospital that they just gave you assistance and very little work. And I'm talking about when I used to take my dad there, and about 50 years ago, my dad was 100% disabled from World War II in South Pacific, and I remember it was a very nice place to visit back then. But now, I'm very proud to have something like that. And then Mr. Parada was telling me how he remembers that in the past, how bad it was. And also on October 26th, I was inducted. After my hip operation, 4 days later, I participated at the high school. I was inducted to the Hall of Fame, and I'm very proud to be an inductee to the Hall of Fame, and honored to be part of that. So So that shows you that it was a great operation to leave the hospital and 4 days later go up on the stage with two of my fellow city people there, and I'm really honored. Chief Robles was honored also on the wall, and Chief Bermudez. And then a previous employee of the city, Mayra, Human Resources, was also honored that same day. So the four of us were there, and I want to congratulate you both also for being part of that too. So it was kind of a short month for me because I was preparing for the hip surgery and I was going through a lot of mental things. But now I know it's different. You know, I was thinking of going next week and getting my other hip done just for fun. And Marcel, relax. Okay. Councilman, you're next.
October 3rd, we did Rachel's Challenge at Nogales High School Auditorium. Then October 11th, it was a homecoming parade down Morley Avenue. On the 16th, I attended the 90th anniversary for the Nogales City Library. On the 23rd, I assisted on a float construction at Chambers Warehouse for St. Andrew's Children Clinic, White Elephant, that would be presented at the White Elephant Parade. On the 24th, attended the Cochise College Scholarship money awarded by Mexican Consulate and Santa Cruz County Attorney General's Office. They were awarded $15,000 by each, total of $30,000 for high school students, second chance from Pearson Vocational High School. On the 22nd, I was at the Home Depot and I was approached by a constituent and we talked about some street problems that needed repair, and I came in and I saw Mr. Kissinger and he quickly resolved the problem there. On the 25th, I spoke with another constituent on a sanitation issue, and I brought that to Mr. Dilly's office, and sure enough, about an hour and a half later, the problem had been resolved. On the 26th, I attended the 40th anniversary banquet for St. Andrew's Children Clinic in Tubac, and that is it. Thank you.
Councilwoman?
I attended the grand opening of the Santa Cruz Community College. I also attended the 90th anniversary of the public library. I also promoted the Ciclo de Cine Mexicano at the Consulado Mexicano, and the last projection will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Consulado. I attended the Veterans Day ceremony. I also attended the ceremony of the IME Becas at Cochise College. This year we're helping 12 students with a total of $30,000. This IME Becas means Instituto Mexicanos en el Exterior. I have mentioned it several times, and I want you to be aware of what it is. The Mexican government is paying, right now we're receiving $10,000 from the Mexican government, $10,000 from the county attorney, and $10,000 from the Cochise College, and we're helping 12 students. That means any student right now at Pearson Vocational School that wants to continue their education, we have the scholarship for them. Next year, we're planning on $45,000. So, and every year we're increasing 15,000 more. So by the end, we want a lot of students to have scholarships in Nogales. That means students from Mexican descent. Even though they are students that they were born in the United States, they're Mexican descent. So they can also have their scholarships. So, and I think it's a program that it really is working, and this is the 4th year that we've been doing it, and I'm really proud of it. And right now we're working towards the Nativity Exposition that is going to be at the Consulado December 13 at 6 p.m. And you're all invited.
Thank you very much. Councilman Doyle?
Thank you. Well, at the start of last month, Councilman Parra and myself were approached by a couple of residents from Chenoweth over there. They had a problem there in one of those little streets that goes, almost looked like an alley, or almost didn't look like a street, it looked more like a washroom across the line. And we brought it to the attention of Mr. Dilly and Mr. Kissinger, and you look at that street now, it's not the real pavement, but they filled it with old paving and cleaned it out. It really looks now like an upgraded street that belongs to this part of the country. So I want to thank the city administrator and the administrator for taking action so quick on that. Looks to make that part, that section behind the vehicle look a lot nicer. So thank you very much. October 3rd, went to the Chamber of Commerce and with Mr. Parada, and they had a group of African representatives. They were from different countries in Africa, almost about a dozen of them. And we had like a question and answer that the group wanted to have about local issues, immigration. I answered a couple of Mr. Parada, did most of the talking with them, so it was they were very pleased, and we kind of had a good time there with going back and forth. On October 9th, we went to the grand opening at the new community college, which most of the city staff and council were there, but it was a good event. Also later that evening, went with Councilman Diaz to represent the city at the Pinnacle High School open house they had, and that was a nice event also. On the 15th, attended with the rest of the city representatives the 90th anniversary celebration at the Nogales Rockland Public Library, and like the mayor said, it was very informative and it was a nice event. On the 23rd, attended the Board of Supervisors meeting where our city administrator, Mr. Dilley, and assistant city administrator, Mr. Kissinger, answered questions to the board pertaining to the city annexation of the northern outskirts along I-19. And also of interest that morning, the Arizona Office of Tourism presented their marketing plan for the area, and they seemed to be even, they were a little more informative this time. They brought a little more information along. So it was a good presentation. After the supervisor meeting, I ran over to the Red Ribbon Week, the Boys and Girls Club, just barely to make it on time there, and that was a nice event also. It's always good to see the community get together and encourage that DARE program, you know, let the kids know that we're concerned, we're behind them, and hopefully it'll keep the other kids that maybe need a little more guidance, maybe get them the program. So I want to thank all of the people that were there, because that is a good program. The other thing was November 1st, I attended the community forum on patient protection and affordable care act with Congressman Grijalva and Regional Director Herb Schultz. Mariposa Community Healthcare Chief Executive Officer James Weldon was there, and it was very informative. You know, I think they should have more of those right now to explain more about the Affordable Care Act. But I'm glad that they took us in consideration when Congressman came over. Again, I guess also the thing on before October was over, the Felipe San Jesus had their annual Kermés, and they asked me if I could represent the city as one of their judges. They had 4 judges, and they were going to have a youth talent show, and I did participate, and it was a nice event. They were very happy because they raised a lot of money for their classes there at the church from all the events they had. November, Friday the 8th, I attended a breakfast with Councilman Parada in honor of ceremonies that they had for local veterans. I was chosen to speak to the assembly there and address them, and spoke on American patriotism to the young kids there to encourage them also. November 7th, again, Congressman Parada and I went to that CHEC where they had a workshop on local farming and promoting healthy eating locally. It was from the Escuchando Bienestar. I guess they're trying to farm organically, locally, and trying to sell that to the kids, you know, through the schools, and they're trying to get together this program where instead of kids eating sweets or stuff, tune in and eat more of a fresh snack like a vegetable or fruit or something, and hopefully get them away from that refined sugar. So that they're going to be getting together more often for that, to improve the health conditions of our youth. I guess that was pretty much it, except for that same, after that breakfast at the school on November 8th and 9th, that weekend, I ran up to we were going to have the American Legion Fall Conference, the Doubletree in Tucson, and Mayor Rothschild was present to welcome all the veterans there for that weekend and make sure that we'd have a good time there in Tucson. So it was a nice event. And then November 11th, well, we participated all in the Veterans Day festivities here locally. It was a great month. It was a very active month, and it was very productive. And I think most of us really got involved.
You jumped into November now, okay?
I know. Like I kind of jumped a little there.
We're in October, but that's all right.
But yeah, we ended up in November pretty well.
All right.
So,
Parada?
I think I'll keep the 3 Bs. Be brief, brother. Yes. One of the 4 stars next to this. He covered all of them except that I didn't go to the San Felipe on that one. I kind of missed it, but I did miss it. But then we had the ADOT dinner, we got put in there, and ADOT meeting the following day. Okay, so we got that covered, Mr. Doyle, Diaz. And
That was also in November.
okay. Okay.
That's for next month.
Put it for next month.
Next month.
Okay, I attended in October the emergency services at Rocky Point, and it was one of the greatest events we attended to. And I was very surprised that we didn't have no representation from the fire department from the city of Nogales. I think we loosened that bond between the emergency service and the city of Nogales. I think we need to step on it and make sure that they get involved in it as soon as possible. And also on a Saturday, last Saturday, I attended an exhibition fair at the Nogales, Sonora Fire Department. They had Tacleco at the Park Mall. They had a lot of stations with fire and buildings and all that stuff, and EMT classes, and it was very, very impressive. So I went out to represent the city of Nogales on that one. On the Rocky Point, they really appreciated the presence of the police chief that went out with Mr. Machado. They really were surprised, and they really were so, we got a lot of standing ovations on that one.
That's great.
So I mean, we did good on that one. And that's about it. Otherwise, Doyle covered most of it, so I'll keep the 3 Bs going.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I ditto on a lot of these things, probably ditto less than what a lot of them did, and I know that Mr. Diaz has a lot to say, so I let him say.
You're giving your time to Mr. Diaz?
Yes, I am.
I'll be brief.
Go ahead, Councilman.
To start off with, I also attended the grand opening of the Cochise College, and then afterwards at Pinnacle Peak School. I'm going to focus on a couple of major deals that I did. On the 18th of October, Mr. Kissinger and myself hosted State Representative Gabaldon and Mr. Bruce Wheeler, who was not in our district, but it was a Friday, and we took them all to all the troubled areas in Nogales. We took them to the IOI, Mariposa Port. We got into that rush hour at DePancini, so they could see the problems that we have here in Nogales and everything. So it was an eye opener especially for Mr. Bruce Wheeler, and they're very now they're very happy to help us. They pledged to help us all they can and bring other state representatives so they can see what we're facing down here and extend a helping hand to us. And then I want to thank everybody for a great Veterans Day. The whole county, everybody in Nogales, every single person in Nogales, I mean, it was an awesome event. Everybody participated, everybody liked it. There was a lot of people watching, a lot of people came down here to the Wall of Honor and the VFW. So I really want to thank the whole community for helping out. We had a lot of volunteers at the VFW, serving food, cleaning, carrying stuff, doing whatever, but it was great, it was awesome. And I want to thank Mr. Kissinger for going with me with the 2 state reps and showing them, everything that has to be done here in Nogales. And I also dittoed on a few of the things that Mr. Parada and Mr. Lopez. Thank you very much. Thank you, community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councilman. Great job of all the members of the city council, a lot of participation, great work. We were gonna go on to number 6, discussion, an update by Santa Cruz County on various flood control projects within the city limits. Mr. Dilly?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this request was brought forward in an effort to maintain dialogue and communications with the county. With us tonight is Jesus Valdez with the County Public Works Director, and he's here to provide the council with an update on various flood control projects going on in your community.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity, members of the council. I meant to say board, sorry. But thank you for the opportunity to speak to yourself. I'd like to give you a status, some of the projects that we're doing in the city, and anything else that you have a question regarding flood control. With that, I'll start out with the first project we're working on is on the Loma for the Monte Carlo area, the subdivision. Back a few years ago, there was a basin that was built, but it never went through the process to take the residents out of the floodplain. So one of the things that ourselves and the board decided to do is do a detailed study so that we could remove some of the people out of the floodplain. We're in the process of going through the Loma. We have had comments and they've gone back and forth that FEMA always asks for a little bit more information and we're providing that. We anticipate that this process will probably end probably mid-February, and then once it gets approved, it goes to the register, and then it's 6 months after that, and then the map revisions are done. So that's I think a total of 51 residents will be taken out of the floodplain, and they won't have to, if they have a mortgage, they will no longer have to pay flood insurance.
Is this on the upper region, on the upper side? Where's the basin at exactly?
Let's see if I have to orient myself.
Is it over by the Casa Bonita apartments? No?
It's at the end of Calle Sonora.
Oh, the end of Calle Sonora?
That's
Okay.
where the basin.
Oh, that one, not the one that's over there. By the
Madonna Street.
Oh, okay, all right. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the basin.
Yes, yes. So all those homes on Calle Sonora, those are the ones that hopefully will be removed from the flood?
I wish I had a map to show you, but basically, there's a basin, and there's a dike. And what we did is we did a detailed study. So the houses where the dirt dike is,
Yes.
about 50 houses to the west would be removed from the flood.
Oh, okay, so that's the same area.
I know that there's some gentleman, a resident in Rudy.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know,
Yes, we know. Well, I think it'll be good news for you.
That's good.
We're still going the process, but we have no reason to believe that it won't be approved. Moving on, the next project we have is the one that the council decided was a priority, and this is in the Nogales area. What we're doing, and we're working with city staff, is that we gave a notice to proceed today to Wood Patel, which is an engineering firm that we procured through an on-call service. What they're going to do is do a DCR, it's a design concept report. They're going to look at alternatives to see what ourselves and city staff would like to recommend to you in terms of an improvement. I expect this abbreviated DCR to be completed probably end of February, or beginning end of February, mid-February. And from that, we'll come up with recommendations to you guys. Possibly 3 alternatives. Alternative number 1 is is it a full-on basin? Is it something? Do you improve the roads? What is the end? So we'll look at it with an engineering eye and try to come up with the best solution, something that you guys are comfortable with and our floor. One thing that I like to really caution you on that one, the area that was made priority, given priority by the council, is not a FEMA floodplain. It's a regulatory floodplain. But there's still, funds could be used for this, but it's not gonna remove anybody from the floodplain. It's just gonna alleviate some of the problems that you guys have been seeing with some of the local flooding that occurs. So there is some limitations with the flood control fund, but we'll look at all that when the reviews come.
Are those limitations, in reference to, where the funds come from, or is it where they are? Right. So basically, the flood control district, would pay for that if it was, if the recommendations is what is accepted?
We would have to take a look at it, but let me give you an example. The area we're studying it's a regulatory floodplain, so that means that the county did its own mapping and through the ordinance and said that this is a regulatory floodplain. Flood control funds can be used for that purpose of improvement. Now, if it spills over to an area that is not in the floodplain, there's where we're gonna have to come up with something that allows it to use some of that funding. So there's some challenges in it. So like if down a mile down on the Nogales Road, there's a structure that could be built to benefit the project, those funds might not be able to be applied. So that's basically
Like storm drains down the road or swales and stuff like that?
It all depends where they're located.
Okay.
The closer the proximity to the floodplain, the better off we are. But
Okay.
we'll take a look. I'm sure we could resolve whatever issues are going there and something that you guys are comfortable with.
And that's why it's so important to have you come and talk to us about this so that we are aware of this. So when that does come up, we can become partners.
Sure.
And we can work together to solve this. Good idea.
I would like that.
Great.
Moving on, we're continuing to honor the IGA we have with you guys and trying to maintain some of the identified areas and doing a little bit more. You know, some of our crews enjoy working in the city, and we did some improvements or some cleanup at the Nogales Watch by the Sonora. That was we found a nifty way to do it. It was under restoring clause and the flow. We removed some major vegetation, so we like to assist you. Besides that, that's all I have to report. If you guys have any questions on what else is going on that might impact the city, please feel free to ask.
Members of the council, do you have any questions?
I have
Yes, go ahead.
Arroyo it's in between Bedford and Trinidad. You know, it runs down behind the hot housing. It creek that runs through there on the flood, and they all end up riding back on the garage is there that mechanic Javier's diesel. You know, they both get together. They cause a lot of flooding. Is something could be done in that area?
Off the top of my head, I don't know if it's, but I'd like to go out with yourself or one of your staff members and go take a look at it to see what can be done. Yeah, we get that often in the county.
Right.
There's a confluence of little small streams that trying to be.
Is that where they meet, Mr. Brown? Is that where they meet to that culvert under Baffert Street that you're talking about?
That's one of them. It gets you to the same place.
Those culverts always get full of sand and stuff, and you know, we haven't had a major flood there, but I know which one he's talking about.
Yeah, I can't picture exactly, but I'll be happy to go out there and take a look at it. One of the problems that we have sometimes, and if you guys could assist us, just to make you aware of it, is a lot of the drainage areas are private. We have a difficult time getting into some of those areas and cleaning them up, just by the nature of it. And if we could somehow procure an easement or something like that, that would go a long way.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
Mayor, is that area that you're talking about, if you go back there, there's tires, there's everything. I mean, we need to send somebody out there and you have them take all that stuff out of there.
It butts up to those warehouses. Is
Right.
that the one you're talking about?
Right, but butts up the
Yeah,
warehouse.
I've seen tires back there, and they're part of, being dumped by those businesses in those areas there.
But that, if not, the question of picking them up and getting rid of all that stuff, because that's what holds everything up.
Well, it's something maybe we could partner and clean up with the county and send some of our guys there. Mr. Bárcenas, are you taking notes of this, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Go ahead. Good, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Dilly?
Mr. Members of the Council, before we let Mr. Valdez go, I just wanted to express appreciation. I know that Jesus and Alejandro work very well together. They have a constant dialogue with our public works departments, and a lot of stuff gets done with these crews that you and I don't know about often because they work well. So I appreciate Jesus you being here tonight and giving us a report, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Sure. I'll be happy to come by anytime you guys invite me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 2, consideration and possible action of discussion, item 13-14. Mr. Dilly?
Thank you, Mr. Members of the Council. During the budget process, we talked about a capital list of equipment and various things that we would like to secure through a procurement similar to the Coke lease that we've fondly referred to over the last couple of years. The budget was drafted as though the previous lease, which we called the Coke lease, would continue, so that we could buy necessary equipment and capital for the support of our operations and services to the community. The old Coke lease expired in October. We paid it off. Again, the budget shows that we would continue with a new round of leases, and as we went through the budget process, we actually added things to that list because we couldn't find a way to fund it during, in the normal budget process. So tonight we'd like to, you have the list in front of you. We'd like to talk to you about not only the list, but some options in moving forward with the funding of those capital items. I'd like to ask Aaron if he would step forward, kind of walk you through not only the list, but the options that we'd like to put in front of you for your consideration.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Aaron White, the interim finance director. If you, in your package, the last 3 pages of this item, you have the equipment listing. And so we have it broken out by departments. Specific items that are being requested to be purchased under a new type of capital equipment purchase scheme. You'll see here some of the big things. There's some ambulances, some trucks, a dump truck, mowers. If you go to the second page, lots of more heavy equipment with the water, sewer, sanitation, and streets funds. Obviously, they're some of the biggest users of heavy equipment. We have front-end loader, backhoe, more trucks, 2 side load sanitation trucks, and the list kind of goes on and on. You can see it there. I'd be happy to take any questions regarding any of these specific items. What I do want to raise your attention to is on the list. You'll see that there's a little star, a little asterisk next to a few of the items there. And the reason why those have a little star next to them is that, generally speaking, when we move forward with some type of capital equipment lease purchase program, any type of financial institution, so say Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, Bank of America, Chase Bank, they would require that the items purchased with this money be something tangible, right? Something that if we default on our payments, they can go out and grab the asset and resell it, right, for whatever amount they may be able to get, right? And so that's their security in being able to provide the financing. And so you'll see here items that may or may not be funded with a traditional type of lease purchase. So some tech upgrades for the council chambers and some remodel here for the city hall lobby. We have here some high density shelving. We're in the finance department. We're full to the brim on required documentation that we have to store. Some conference room technology upgrades at the Public Works building. Little League restrooms upgrade. A video system upgrade in the sewer fund. The SCADA monitoring system for both the sewer and water funds. And then a leak detection equipment in the water fund. So those types of software or hard construction projects would be questionable whether they be funded under a normal financing scheme. And so what we have done tonight is that we're presenting to the City Council two different options of financing this capital equipment. So number one, right, we can enter into an agreement with the bank, pay it off over 5 years with an interest rate that the market dictates, and we just move forward basically like we have over the last 5 years. And as Mr. Daly says, this year's budget contemplated doing something similar, where we continue just to make our monthly principal and interest payments. But then there's also another option in front of us, where we can put city funds to work for us. So we can do what I like to call in-house financing, right? This is something that's done very commonly with municipalities or other governmental entities, where they have reserve funds that they can then reinvest back into their operations. And so this is probably something a little new for the city of Nogales. I'd like to just kind of walk through some of the benefits and drawbacks of doing something like that. So obviously, if we do in-house financing, number one, we get all the flexibility in the world, right? It's our money. We dictate what the interest rate would be charged to the enterprise funds, paying back. All of those items that I mentioned that may not be financed under a normal financing scheme, we would have the flexibility to say yes, we'll finance those. Also, it allows us to have a return on investment on city funds, right? So currently we're gaining minimal interest with bank accounts and just with the current investment environment. Interest rates are extremely low with any type of secure investment strategy. And so investing city funds into the enterprise funds, let's say we can set an interest rate at 1.5% is what I've proposed. And so that would then be a revenue generator for the general fund. That'd be $70,000 over the 5-year life of the loan, back to the general fund. And then also, at the end of the day, the city isn't paying any interest, right? So that would be a total savings of over $100,000 over the next 5 years.
But do you freeze that money?
So then we get to some of the drawbacks, right? So obviously, once the money is spent, right, the money is spent. But at the same time, so we have a plan in place to where those funds would be paid back, right? Just like we're paying, or just like we finish paying Coke back every year or every month, we would do the same thing, right? So we're paying ourselves back to where we get that contingency fund back up to where it is currently. But that's obviously once you spend the funds, right now, they can't be used.
So that was $2 million what?
$2.7 million is what.
2.7 million, $3 million.
Right. So that's what's being proposed currently.
Let's go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I think, first of all, if we can get money at 1.5%, I mean, it shouldn't even be a discussion. But second, we have to realize who we are. We're not a bank. We're not a finance institution, right? So it doesn't make any sense for us to go ahead and try to change the whole deal. I think we need that money to keep it as reserve. That's what it's for. It's a reserve fund, and I think that's where it should be. And again, if we cross over and decide we're gonna start financing this and financing that, we're gonna end up in a situation where we're gonna find out that where's all our money? I mean, and if we need it, if we have another devaluation, if there's something going wrong here, we need to have the money in cash. We need to have it liquid. We need to have it to be able to get to it immediately. You know, trying to go out there and trying to refinance something that's used is not gonna really make a lot of sense. Here, of course, it's like I said, 1.5%. I mean, you know, I just don't think there should be much to discuss. If we were talking about 16% interest, I think it would be a pretty obvious deal. Let's use our money. But for 1.5% over a 5-year period, that we're gonna save $75,000 or $100,000 over a 5-year period, I don't think it really makes any sense to go ahead and do that, right? Obviously, some of the things that we cannot finance, obviously we have to use our own money. But everything else that we can finance at 1.5%, I mean, inflation is gonna take it over by a lot more than that. I mean, so I don't see why even consider in-house financing. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Go ahead. You got anything else to say?
Well, just to finish off then our, the discussion about positives and drawbacks. One of the big things that we have here is just the flexibility of doing it in-house, right? We have a few funds this year, based on their requests, will hurt significantly. Specifically, the water fund will probably have to make substantial changes to operations to continue funding their principal and interest payments for the remainder of the fiscal year. Obviously, though, that can then be taken into account the next budget year and you know, hopefully make up for that difference in the future, right? So those are the positives and negatives. We wanted to present some options to you all, and obviously we're here to take any comments or questions.
Mr. Mayor, members of
Right,
the council.
Mr. Dillon.
Either way, members of the council, we're in a position to move forward. Honestly, the intent tonight by staff is just to present options. So either direction you guys decide to go, I think I think we're positioned well to move forward. So if you have any if you have any questions on the list, if you have any other comments or questions about either of these options, happy to help. But we look for some direction. Aaron, is it what's the intent tonight? Is this looking toward the December agenda, or is this so? Explain that, please.
Thank you. So tonight we just wanted to present the options, what we would do. Then whatever direction you give us, we would present the order for your consideration in December. That way we can start the purchasing process on this equipment.
My recommendation is what the vice mayor said, basically, is go with the 1% and not the in-house. That's what I think we should do. Members of the
That's
city
what I think.
council.
I think the same.
Well, if we can use somebody else's money almost free, we might as well use it. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'll prepare an order and have that in front of you at your December meeting.
Thank you. Item number 3, discussion possible action priority street list. Mr. Dilly, and I need Mr. Bárcenas on the podium.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, you requested this item
Yes.
to be discussed. Alejandro is here, prepared to address the projects that are in the pipe and anything else you guys want to talk to us about by way of prioritization of our street program. Yeah, I believe, Mr. Mayor, this is there's some flexibility designed in the language of this agenda so that we can talk about street projects in general, but I know specifically what we'd like to address, at least off the bat, is Crawford, Hughes, and Industrial Park. So, Alejandro, if you take it, please.
I'll start, Mr. Bárcenas. Mr. Bárcenas, we're in November, am I correct?
Yes.
October was the time we were gonna be starting with the CDBG money on Hill Street.
Yes.
Okay, talk to me.
Yes, if I can start with Hugh Street, that is the street that you're addressing right now. We're working on the design of that street. We gotta engage the help of the Seagull to help us in some of the design requirements that we have to get the funding available to us. And one is the environmental impact assessment that we need to do for that street, because CDBG money has those strings attached, and we need to comply with those to be able to qualify for that
Mr.
funding.
Barcenas, we talked about Hill Street in March, and you're working on it right now?
Well, we have been working since then, and you know that the cycle for approving of the funding is not up to us. We apply, and the cycle that have to go through.
I understand, so you should have everything prepared, like a shovel-ready job to present it when that cycle comes around, and that cycle was October with the CDBG money, okay, and then we were gonna
Well,
probably
the
invest a
money's
little bit
already-
of money on top of that to make the whole loop. We
Yeah.
talked about this in March.
I understand, Mr. Mayor. The issue that we have is that we cannot spend monies ahead of approval for the funding. So if we went ahead and start spending money for this project ahead of the approval of the funding, we would qualify to refund that money through that CDBG money. So that's why we couldn't jump ahead of the.
So you're farming everything out, you can't do anything from your office or engineering?
Well, we have been doing it. It's just that to qualify with the requirements with CDBG monies, we would have to follow their process. And I think that the previous council meeting, you approved the contract for Seagull to help us on defining that
I'll
to
start
comply
the,
with it.
yeah, I'll start the process of finding itself. But you
No.
just said that the environmental impact assessment, who does that? Do you do it, or you get somebody else to do it for you?
That's what Seagull is gonna help us to do it.
So you can't do an environmental impact assessment?
We cannot,
No.
we need to get a contractor to do that. And in this case, I think Seagull is better prepared for, they offer the help. And we could go with a consultant somewhere else, but because we already have the process going through Seagull, they say we can help you with that. And we presented that to you, and you the council.
And
approved.
so tell me right now, when do you expect to do something there?
Start construction?
Some, even Blue State, tell me, when are you gonna do something?
Well, Blue Stake is already done. We have done Blue Stake, we have preliminary concept design for that street. And I think we provided a copy to you in the previous meeting, that what the alignment would be, how we.
Yeah, we talked about the only one manhole and one service that needed to be done. You have to do the whole service there. So we
Yes.
were just gonna go after paving and
That's
service
correct.
and curb work and stuff like that.
Yes.
So tell me, when do you expect to do something there?
For construction, I cannot answer that right now. I don't know when physically we can go and break ground and start putting paving in place until we know that the environmental clearance is done.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, Mr. President, an environmental impact study, does it have to be done on an existing street? Why would it be done on an existing street?
Because that's a requirement from the CDBG that you have to review there is any impact. And most of the time, in this case.
Would it be a requirement if we weren't using CDBG money?
No.
This is a federal requirement. To use federal funds, you have to jump through certain hoops. We run into that problem when we have some ADOT programs as well.
See, let me tell you why I'm a little disappointed. When we did Walnut, that was CDBG money, remember? $500,000. We invested 480-some thousand to make it better. If you knew that we needed to do an environmental impact study assessment, why didn't you come to us and say, can the council help me out so that we can pay to do the assessment? So when October comes around, when we can do the expenditures of the money, we're prepared. But you didn't do that. Now you're gonna wait, and now it's October, now it's November, now you don't even know when you're gonna finish the environmental impact study. Now winter comes around, January, February, March, temperatures are high. Now you're gonna tell me in March that you can't do anything because the ground, the substrate is over 65 degrees.
Mr. Mayor, I wish I could say we can pay that tomorrow, but when we go through the process on this funding that we get from federal monies and from ADAC and from all these agencies that help us, we have to follow the regulation. We have to follow all the hoops, and we put all the pressure that we can for them to help us and expedite the projects. But you're going to see on the other street that we have there, it's a long process, and sometimes we ourselves wonder, is worth the time and the effort to go after these monies? Because in this project, for instance, Hughes, it's a small project, and we have to go through the whole thing and jump all the hoops and wait all this time to deliver the project.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Mr. Barcenas. You came to us on Walnut Street and asked us for almost $500,000 to complete this project, and we gave it to you. Why couldn't you come to us and say, you know what, it's gonna cost me, the assessment's gonna cost me so much, so we can get up to that point so that we can present it? You know, that's the problem we have here. With the Tiger grants, that's the problem we have here with almost all these things, because we're never ready for anything. We're never ready, and then winter comes around, and we've had that issue. Mr. Vice Mayor has talked about that a lot of times, is that we have that issue, and you know, we're giving you all the opportunities to get these jobs done with contractors, because our Public Works Department doesn't have the qualified people that we used to have in the streets, and we want to do these jobs fast and everything, but you need to come to us.
Mr. Mayor,
You have to wait until I put it on the agenda so we can discuss it.
if I remember correctly, we have been working in many projects that we pulled through the whole process. And if I remember correctly, we presented a list of projects that you gave us directions and what projects to be priority number 1, number 2, number 3. And we have been doing those. If I remember correctly, on Hughes Street was one of the last projects that you put on the list to say, you need to work on this one. So as soon as you told us that, we start preparing with that, and you told us, go and look for the funding on CDBG money. And we're...
No, I'll remind you what it was. I'll remind you what it was. Hughes Street is number 1 now, priority.
It is.
Back then, you have already finished the other 5, now Hughes is number 1. That was March. Almost past half a year ago. So Mr. Barcenas, I just don't understand how we're working. Honestly, I don't understand, Mr. Dilly. We need to jump at these things. Okay, I'll just take you back a little bit. Talk to me about Crawford Street.
Crawford Street, you have your memo there. Probably you're gonna see that the schedule that you see there. I don't know you have seen it, but in the schedule, we applied for the money, I think almost a year ago.
No, more than that.
That's my point. That's my point. We applied for that money months and maybe a year ago. So, and we're only in the design phase of that project. The monies that got approved through SIGO and through that cycle from ADA was just design. Once the design is complete, we have to go back to SIGO and say, the project's ready, now we need construction money. So it's frustrating. I understand you, and I really feel for that you need these projects to move faster, but we're doing everything that we can through the system. These monies are not monies that, that's just apply in the next month, the money's available. You have to go, and we're competing, and probably Mr. Gilly can explain a little bit more on the process. We have been reviewing why it takes so long to get projects done, why the city is not getting as many projects as Sierra Vista or Fort Huachuca or some of the cities in Sigo. The reason is that to qualify for those, you have to compete against them. And they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars
Let's
in
get away
projects to
from
be
that. Let's get away
graded.
from that because you're not gonna even give me a date on that one. By what you're saying, you're not giving me a date on Crawford, and that's 2 years past on that one. Talk to me about the industrial park.
The industrial park, we had a consultant to come and give us an alternative for that street. Instead of reconstructing the whole street, we have a specialist company that came and made an assessment on the street and see what we could do to, as soon as possible, maybe with a GLC contract, we can go and fix that street as the best that we can with the funding that's available. Reconstruction of the whole street, we're talking about a couple $1 million. And as far as I know, we don't have that money. So what we're trying to do in Public Works, we're trying to figure a way with our means, what we have on hand, to be able to provide a solution to that problem that we have in that place. We're expecting that maybe this week or the next week at the latest, we would have the recommendation. We did the testing for the sub-base. The sub-base seems to be in good shape. So maybe we just need to do something on top of that street. But we're working as fast as we can with Industrial Park. I think Industrial Park could be done a lot faster because we're not talking and applying for federal monies or state monies or anything. We would have to do it with our resources, whatever way, and maybe combining that with the help of some of the users in that area, the property owners, something like that. We have talked to some of them, and they're willing to work with us. I don't know exactly what that means because say yeah, let's do it. But when you see the numbers and you start presenting concrete costs, people say, "Oh, I thought it was going to be a lot less," and whatever. But we're moving along with that project. Another issue that we have with that street is the drainage. That drainage in that area is a big problem. That's why the street is in that condition, because all the water that's coming from development on the other side of Target Range, I don't know you remember, there's a channel, yes, and there's all the drainage that's coming directly to that street, and the street is acting like a channel more than a street. So that's why that trench that gets developed in the middle is because so much water. So we need to figure a way. This company that came down is proposing maybe change the cross section of the street, instead of having an inverted crown to have the water running on the middle of the street, to change that to run on the sides and split the flow so you don't have as much velocity and much water running just in one single location. But that's where we're working on that project. So that's what I have to say right now.
Go ahead, Vice
Yeah, Mr. Martinez, on Hughes Street, I mean, what would you estimate would be the cost to repair that? Because you said it's a small street. I mean, how much are you talking about doing the repairs?
I think we had a just cost of materials, about $150,000 of cost of materials. If we would do that in-house. But like I said, we went through the process. We are asking for this money, and like the mayor mentioned, we don't have the people in-house to do the project in a timely and in a good manner. Because when we do projects in-house, we pull our people from the rest of the city, and we don't do as fast as we would like to do it, that project, because on a daily basis we have to pull people because we have an issue somewhere else, or we have to pull people in different directions, so that's why I say it's small project.
On this, the people who paved like Bankers Street, did they give you a bid for, or did you ask them just so we can have a good idea exactly what it would cost
We already,
to go ahead and?
we already asked, the Days Excavating, the company that did the banker, to give us a proposal. We haven't received that yet, but, because once we have the funding available, we could go through that process. One of the issues that CIGO is checking into is if we can use the JOC procurement process, because I believe that when it's federal money, they require to bid the projects completely out. So you have to have design and the specifications, publish, receive bids, and then award
It
it.
might cost us the same amount. I mean, my deal is, if we can get a bid from, and then it's a question of the mayor and council here, if we decide to come up with that money ourselves, right? I mean, it's.
Banker was 90,000, Vice Mayor? 90,000 for Banker?
I think so. Well, how much was Banker?
It was 99,000.
99,000?
So why would it be 150 for Hughes?
It's a little bit longer, and that's what we have. I can provide you the exact numbers. I don't have that with me.
If we can get that from her, if we have it in the HERF fund, let's get it done, right? Also on Industrial Park Drive there, have they fixed those holes that were there?
Yeah, well.
Was that filled?
Yeah, they're filled. It's just that they're not paved.
No, but right now, if I drive on that road, which I haven't in a while, but, if I drive on there, there's no craters there.
No.
Well, they were filled with millings.
Right, they were filled with millings, yeah.
No, I'm
But-
talking about the
That's just a
but again,
temporary thing for.
Are we gonna have to concrete that street because of all the truck turning and all that?
Well, that's one of the alternatives that we were considering, but concrete is almost double the cost of the street. So everything could be improved, and it's just money, like everybody says, it's just money. But when we have the street like that, one alternative that we're considering is put concrete in the middle of the street where the water runs, and then have the sides with asphalt. That would reduce the cost. We have been working on all those
But I
alternatives.
think that the trucks, the heavy trucks doing all the maneuvering on the street is what good. Mr. Dilly, have we reached any, trying to do an improvement district in that area? I know I have talked, I know the mayor has discussed this with several property owners there. Everybody seems to be, like you said, that they wanna go ahead and they're willing to chip in money, right?
Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the council, I certainly appreciate the question. In fact, as staff, we go back and forth about this as well. I know staff has had opportunities to rub shoulders with some of the property owners there, and in a like way say that there's an interest. The only concern that I have is that sometimes we're getting mixed communications or mixed messages from the city council. When this was really charged to us, it was like, we're moving forward, we own this road, we're gonna do it. If we start talking about bringing in an improvement district, which I'm totally in support of, and I, quite honestly, I think it'd be a good idea, it is just yet one more process in this that could add additional timeline to getting this done. So,
But the question is, if we never get started in doing this, and again, I don't know what I understood from
it's
from
difficult, I'm
last
sorry,
deal.
Vice Mayor, it's difficult to engage the public. We kind of had the same problem with the request of council to go in and engage the residences of Meadow Hills on Apollodero. It's hard to engage until you have more of a finite idea in terms of what the solution is and what the cost is going to be, because that's the first question that's going to hit us as staff when we reach out to the property owners. Well, okay, hey, I'd love to have a new road. Who wouldn't? How much is it going to be? And so it gets really difficult until we have that answer.
We can handle. I'm sure everybody here can do 4 or 5 things at a time, right?
That's not
I don't
the
think
point.
anybody here is limited to thinking about 1 street or 2 streets at a time.
I don't think
I'm sure we can all do 25 streets.
I don't think I made my point clear.
Well, I understand, but all I'm saying is that a lot of these things, we should be working on. Again, like the mayor said, we can't wait. I mean, you know, if we keep waiting, things just keep going.
Unfortunately,
And
Mr.
years
Vice Mayor,
keep going and we're
members
not
of the
getting
council,
anywhere.
unfortunately, when we sign ourselves up to jump into a CDBG project, which requires federal funding, or we go through an ADOT program that has federal fundings tied to it, as soon as we commit ourselves that way, we're committing ourselves to that process. And that process is a very timely process. You look at the spreadsheet, not the spreadsheet, but the timeline given to us for Crawford. It about killed me when I saw this going into this packet. We're just talking about design, and look at the months. We got 14 months planning and programming, 24 months development design, 26 months, up to 26 months for construction, 4 months for acceptance and final approval.
No, who did that schedule?
This is ADOT. This is ADOT dictating what this schedule is going to be, because we are at their beck and call, because it's their process. So once we sign ourselves up for this money, it's money to help us get a project done, but we have to go through those steps in order to take advantage of those monies. There are some times when a community will say, okay, it's not worth it. Keep your money and we'll figure out another way to do it, because timing is more important to the council and the community at the time than having that assistance, that federal assistance. I'm just telling you like it is. It's not anything that we like, but we have to understand when we sign ourselves up for these federal programs, there are those requirements.
Sure, then my suggestion is we start them, right now we take a look at something that we're gonna do in 5 years and start it today.
That's right.
Because then, and not 1 or 2 projects, let's do 150 projects and let the chips fall where
And
they
Mr.
are
Barson
10
has
years
brought
from now.
up, right, Mr. Barson has brought up communities like Sierra Vista. Sierra Vista contracts with their on-call engineer group, and all they do is put plans together. They put plans together assuming the Davis-Bacon wages, they put plans together assuming federal programs, and they have these shovel-ready design plans ready to go for the next round of applications. What Mr. Barsonis was trying to explain on the Hughes and the environmental assessment, that was all wrapped into our programming, our funding for the project. We had our contribution, we had the program coming through CDBG. When council said yes, let's tie CDBG up into this project, it was our assumption that we're going to rely on this project on that program for this type of funding. For us to pull anything out and do it separate, it disqualifies it from receiving that federal funding. So I appreciate the additional input from the mayor, and we'll take that very seriously, and we will come back forward and saying, hey, listen, this is this process. We can pull this out. We'll pay for it on our own. It's not going to come. We can't qualify for reimbursement. But if it's that important to the council, it's worth it, right? So, there's a lot of lessons learned going through this, but if, when we start that process with these federal programs, we have to jump through those hoops.
Because, having this discussion, of course, maybe it's my mistake. When we were talking about CDBG money, I thought it was the money that they give us, $260,000 or $300,000 a year. That's where the money was coming from. I didn't know we were going to be going through this. I mean, if I suggest let's do Perkins Street, I mean, we're talking about it, maybe not in my lifetime. I mean, in others' lifetimes, we may not be even doing it because there's a lot to do it. So I mean, we may have to take another approach in looking at this, or certain things can be done. But again, I would like to get an estimate from these people, an exact estimate on Hughes Street. I don't think we have to do any sewer lines on Hughes. No. We have to do any water on Hughes.
Mr. Barsonis, what's the process for us to, if we get a quote from the JOC contractor to do this project, we can get that. When we get it, we bring it back to council, and let's say council says, staff, let's bail on the whole CDBG business. That's not up our alley on this particular project. We want to just do that ourselves. What is the process with that?
Well, we can get a quote from matter of fact, I believe we already requested that quote. We haven't received it, but that quote, because we say, hey, let's see how much would this contractor would charge us for that street. That's really a quick process because that's what we have done.
What about CDBG? What about backing out
Well,
of that?
CDBG, I don't know exactly what the implication would be for the future, because we can pull out of the CDBG funding, but what implication would have in future applications, I don't know, but we can find out and bring back to you and say,
But the
this is.
application isn't it just for that project? CDBG money was already coming to us. You weren't asking for the money, were you?
Yes.
No.
We applied for the
No,
money.
no.
My understanding too.
No, you get CDBG money, I think there was a 250,000. It's either 250, we jumped from 250,000 to 500,000. When we did Walnut, that's the year that we were gonna get 500,000.
We
And
got
for Hughes,
500,000
it's
because we put two payments together.
Yes.
That's how we got 500.
So
Yeah.
so have you paid any administrative costs to Seagull on CDBG money?
Not that I know.
Okay, so if you haven't paid any administrative costs, did you submit an application already?
Yes.
You did, for that project?
Yes.
Did you submit a
Yeah,
design
we-
concept report?
And we receive an award letter that's saying that the funding is set aside for that project.
Okay, so if you submitted a letter, you received an award for it, that means that you have already a design concept on it.
No.
Well, how did they give you an award then without design concept?
We apply for the money, we submit the project with all the background information that they require, and then they say, yes, this project qualifies for that kind of funding. And they say, okay, now you need to do the design of the street so you can proceed to the construction.
So you wouldn't lose the money right now if you pulled it?
I need to find out exactly where we are.
Because you haven't submitted a design concept and you haven't submitted a cost to it. You just submitted that you want to direct that money to that project.
We will
Am I
get-
right or wrong?
I believe you're right, Mayor, but we'll go back and we'll ask those specific questions, and then we'll either in a memo, or, I guess you wanna know sooner, so we'll put it in a memo and give it to all of you in terms
Call
of.
Bonnie tomorrow.
We will, we'll get to the bottom of that question.
And now, again, just Mr. Mayor, to get to the bottom of it, am I right in my thinking that it was the money that we were gonna get from them that, to do this? Or is this a specific deal? I mean, every year we get how much money from?
There's a rotation.
It's not every year, we
250,000.
rotate between the county and Patagonia
and
and
us.
us.
It's either 200,
Are we gonna get any money this year?
there was a 250,000.
We're getting 250,000.
If I'm not mistaken.
I wanna, yeah.
I think it's 250,000 and then the following year is 500. I don't know, Mr. Kissinger, am I right or wrong? I think
they identify the funding amounts each year. I think it depends on Congress and what Congress
Yes.
can give to the states, and then the states divide it up to the local governments, and then they divide it up. So every year we get a new dollar amount, and each year it's a different scheme. One year it's the city, then it's the county, then it's Patagonia. When the money becomes available to us and when it's our rotation, we have public hearings, we have meetings on it, we present projects in front of mayor and council. Mayor and council gets to choose out of all the multitude of projects that the community brings forth, and you all choose on one project that you would like to fund. They don't like to split projects, and they don't do park projects anymore, okay? So on this particular application, we had the public hearings. Mayor and council was clear to staff that we wanted to fund the pavement of Hughes Street with these funds, and that brings us to where we're at today. We put the application in front of Seagull. That's a whole process, is mayor and council, you guys
Does that come
approve
from
it?
the 250,000 we're getting, or is this a separate fund money?
I'm completely lost on your question.
I think, no, it's from the 250,000.
It's from the
Yes.
250,000.
Seagull's award?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we're gonna get those 250,000. So why are we
We
going?
were approved by Seagull to receive those $250,000 to pave Hughes Street.
But we were gonna receive the money anyway, we just needed to identify a project.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And
The money was earmarked for the city of Nogales, and we gave them a project. The project was approved, right? And we're moving forward with that project unless we can call Bonnie tomorrow and she says, if you pull the plug on Hughes Street, can we use the money for a different project or not? That's what I'm understanding that we should do
My
tomorrow.
question is this again, we were gonna get the money. So
Yes.
once we get the money, what?
We can do whatever we want with it?
Why?
Because it's reimbursed. The city puts the money up front, and then we prove to Seagull that we completed it, that we built it according to the designs, that we have to submit the designs, because they're not gonna give us the money to do whatever we want. That's why you have to do the design and all that.
Vice Mayor,
They're
from,
tight on that.
From the $250,000 that's allotted to the city of Nogales, there's a rotation because there's 3 voting bodies in Seagull from our county. As Patagonia, as us, and then the county. And I'm the one that does the voting for the city of Nogales. So when you receive the $250,000, and then you apply the application and they go through the process, from those $250,000, $45,000 goes directly to Seagull for administrative costs.
Correct.
So we pay the Seagull, and then the other $205,000 or whatever is used for the project, and then we have to, whatever, match it if we need a little bit more. We don't need that for fuels, because there's enough money to complete that. But the only thing you need to know for us is find out tomorrow, can we shift that money somewhere else? Is it time sensitive? Will we lose it? I doubt it, because we didn't lose the one on Walnut, and we sat on that for 3 years. But find out if it's time sensitive, and if the application process is only dedicated to that one project.
Absolutely.
Can we find
We'll
that
get
out?
those answers hopefully by tomorrow.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Dilly, my question is, I mean, is it this time consuming, or are we taking our time to do these things? I mean, which one is it? I just can't, I understand there's certain paths to follow, right? I understand that. I understand that the federal government has, and I understand ADOT, I understand all this. But I mean, are we ahead of the line, the curve, or are we always running way behind the curve? When they're talking about 2 years, 3 years on something like this, I mean, I understand ADOT has a 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, 20-year plan. I understand that. But we should be able to, our plan here in Nogales, we should be ahead of the curve. I don't want to be delaying the curve. I mean, the way we did Banker Street, the way we did other streets, Walnut Street seems to be 2 years, 3 years in the coming. Why was it 3 years in the coming? I mean, what happened? And why are we? I actually thought in my mind that Crawford Street was already funded. That we were going to go ahead and I thought that we were I don't know what we were waiting for. I thought Walnut Street or Crawford Street was going to be done last year. And we're still waiting. And now it looks like it's going to be another 2 years or 3 years before we ever get anywhere close to Walnut Street.
Well, on Crawford, Vice Mayor.
Or Crawford Street, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Crawford, when I asked him about Crawford Street, what I was told is that we were having issues with ADOT because there's an approach that belongs to ADOT. From some ways down to. So that was the concern on the design concept, and so where we were just gonna jump from there to the top of McNabb, or were we gonna do the whole thing? Up to right now, that's what I thought, but I see that that's not the case. And it's not the federal government. It is us, right? Remember Terrace Avenue?
Yeah.
8 years, $500,000, until somebody threatened us to take the money away from us. We weren't able to go from round 5 to round 12 of enhancement projects because we were not breaking ground. It is us. We need to start.
We get ahead of the curve instead of behind it. That's basically, I think, the whole deal.
Well, at this point, we talked about these 3 streets, members of the council, and honestly, I don't think we should even mention another street to put on a list right now, because Mr. Dilly, until we get some type of resolve or something on these 3 streets, Mr. Hanesian gives me a chance to talk. I might be able to hear myself.
I was just listening to.
You were just listening to Mr. Parada.
I was listening to Rudy Hanesian.
Rudy Hanesian, yeah, I know. Well, no, we should concentrate on these 3 projects, Mr. Jolie, please, and let's not wait for a city council meeting for us to get some type of resolve or something in writing, giving us an idea some timelines, please, and then find out, Mr. Kissinger, with Bonnie on the Seagull. If it's time sensitive and if there's any issues because if she already started the administrative process, Mr. Kissinger, there's a possibility we might owe Mr. Dilly on that administrative cost. And if she did start on it, well, the whole cost is $45,000 for the whole thing, but if she started, I don't know, maybe we need to reimburse some, but that comes from the Seagull money.
We'll
It doesn't
cross
come
that
from-
bridge when we get there.
We'll
if we
see.
need to.
Bonnie's pretty fair, and she's a ton of information. She can help us out on this. And so we'll move to the other item. Item number 4, discussion, possible action, purchase of Christmas decorations for the city of Nogales, Arizona. The Vice Mayor and Councilwoman Lopez put this item. Mr. Vice Mayor, will you please?
Yes, you know, this past weekend, I was in Bisbee, and Bisbee's already started their Christmas. And they're gonna redo, they always do downtown, they always have the kids caroling, they always have something, they have a lot of people that go over there. Nogales, I believe, at one time used to do the same thing. We did have a great Christmas where there was, where we had the lights, all of downtown, all of Grand Avenue was lit up. I've never seen Mariposa Road lit up. I mean, that's another main street that we should light up. I've never had, or at least I can remember in the past year, that where you're coming from Mexico, that there's something that says Feliz Navidad or Merry Christmas or whatever for the people coming from over there, or even people coming from the north coming into Nogales. I would like to go ahead and light up Nogales to a certain deal where people say, you know, they're having a Merry Christmas here in Nogales. The people of Nogales are having something is going on here. Last year, I hate to say it, that, you know, again, most businesses that used to light up everything haven't done anything, including myself. I mean, you know, before we used to do a lot more. Why the idea of slowing up on Christmas or not really trying to get people coming down here? I mean, I remember people from Phoenix and Tucson would come to Nogales to see the Christmas parade and also just the lights in Nogales. So my opinion is, and I didn't put a money amount on it, but I think we should have something coming in from Mexico that says Merry Christmas or Feliz Navidad, something coming in from the north, something coming in from DeConcini, something coming in on Mariposa. I think, you know, again, when you drive Mariposa at night, I mean, last year, what showed anything on Christmas on Mariposa Road? Outside of being in the shopping center, but I mean, once you turned right, there was nothing there. I mean, it really didn't show anything. And I'm just amazed at the communities again. Sierra Vista, again, in Bisbee, that they spend a lot of time and effort, and they have the decorations. Any decorations we buy, this is not a one-year decoration deal. This is for 10 years. So whatever we spend, I mean, we're gonna be using for 10 years. What has happened is we've never replaced what we used to use, and that's part of our problem, right? So I don't know, it's up for
nice
discussion.
banners would look good too on the post.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
banners are nice.
Yes. I remember that year when they had all the banners, it was very, very nice. Again, I didn't put an amount, I think it's for discussion here in the council as to what we can do, and if we use our imagination a little, and the city uses their imagination, and I'm sure the merchants in town, including on Mariposa Road, including up on Walmart, including up going to the theater and going to Home Depot, everybody, I think, could make, change Nogales into a very, very Christmas kind of spirit that I think we need. So I leave it up
Councilwoman, do you have
for
anything to
discussion.
Yeah, my idea since last time that I mentioned, what about Caron Park? I want lights all over Caron Park. And remember that the Cordis are more than willing to, they have all the lights, and they were really willing to donate it. The only thing is the city's supposed to install it.
Yeah.
So it's not only for Christmas, for all year. So that's one of the things that I would really like. And my thinking is inviting every weekend from now on, people to be there, participate, and even singing, dancing, having music or whatever.
Carol,
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Also, you know, a lot of people think it's gonna be for Christmas, but in Bisbee, they do it for 60 days. Right, it's not 15 or 20 days, it's 60 days that they do.
Yeah, well, it's
the
just,
whole
that's the other
program.
promotion.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Anasian, well, you know, this is time sensitive because we need to come up with something right now if we're gonna vote on whatever money you think of it, because to order some of this, it takes a week or maybe even longer, so, you know, you need to make a decision of what you want.
In my opinion is, and again, this is something that's gonna be used for 10 years. I may not be here, but, you know, I'm sure that everybody will have a nice Christmas.
Most likely, all of the members of the city council will be here in 10 years.
Yes, hopefully. But if we have to come up with a number, I would say $25,000. Again, this is not $25,000 for this year. It's for the next 10 years. So we're actually discussing $2,500 a year and have the lights to light up. If we go right now, and I think Mr. Kissinger, whatever, all the lights we had, we don't have the lights from the 50s. We don't have the lights from the 60s, right? I mean, and we never bought anything. We haven't bought anything as long as I've been here. So I would say that again, we need to have lights that will take us into,
Because
the next 10 years.
The last Santa Claus that I saw really looks old. Let's go ahead, wait. It's getting older by the year.
And you can barely walk, right?
No, you can barely walk.
I don't know the amount that's needed to be more. I doubt it's gonna be less, but it could be more. I think that if we get the thing going, what you really need,
Right?
and just get pricing it on and get it going.
Because some of the banners that we have, I think the only one that's kind of decent is the one that we've been putting across the old city hall. That one's kind of, it's a nice one. I think that's almost 10 years old.
Yeah.
But the majority of the other ones are way, way older than that.
If Mr. Parada is comfortable, we could say up to, let's say, 35,000.
It's not that you can- it's
And
not that you can spend it all.
whatever we use, if we only use 15,000 or 20, then that's what it is.
You know, one of the, I think you were mentioning about 21 coming from across the line. I always thought that one coming down Crawford would be beautiful.
It used to.
Because you come down Crawford from I-19
Yes.
and, I mean, show a nice.
You know, I thank ADOT, they put up that sign, but, you know, we need something more than that. I mean, that's quite a very annoying sign.
Even one coming across from the old Walgreens to the Bank of America, going that part.
Right.
That would be,
And it used to have it there, all in front of the Elks Club, remember? They
Yeah.
used to have all those lights in front of the Elks. We don't have any of that anymore, right?
Well, make a motion that.
I make a motion that we spend up to $35,000 on Christmas decorations, especially lighting up the entrances to Nogales.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Funding source, Mr. Mayor?
The funding source, you wanna go from?
I would say from the reserves.
Reserve.
Thank you.
All right, we've had enough discussion, members of the council?
No.
No, you want more discussion?
No.
No, oh, no, okay. Maybe I didn't ask it right. It's that pain pill acting up, I think. I can go all night now, okay? I just took my medication, I can go all night. Mr. Doyle, I can go all night? No, just
One little thing that I wanted to add to Christmas.
Christmas lights, yeah.
Maybe the city put out some kind of award or something for the people that decorate his house.
We used to do that too.
Decorations, to kind of encourage them to
That's
do
a
that.
great idea.
And I don't
Yeah,
know
for
if
the
there's-
stores.
There's some 35, something left over, maybe there's a couple $100 award or something.
Yeah, they used to do that, they used to give plaques and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's get festive.
Yes, I think we really want to bring Nogales
Let's
up.
get festive. Huh.
All right, let's take a vote, Mr. Mayor.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. No Scrooges on the dais. One Scrooge today. That's what I like. And that is just. Oh, that's a whole different story. You had to throw that one in there, no? My God. Okay, we're going to consent agenda now. Son mentiras. Okay, item number 5, consent agenda. Discussion and possible approval of Seago's resolution number 2013-04, supporting the extension of the border zone in Arizona. Mr. Dilly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I asked this item to be on the agenda. Back in August, Randy Heiss with Seago, the executive director of Seago, presented a resolution that was being proposed from MAG, Maricopa Association of Governments, to extend the border zone from the present location of 75 miles from the border to really the entire state, just open it up to the entire state. At that time, a lot of questions got fired out at Seago, and there wasn't a whole lot of answers, and so that item was tabled. The item resurfaced again at our November meeting, and once again it was tabled at the administrative level, again because we had a lack of information. We have received recently a presentation from the Maricopa Association of Governments relative to their proposal to expand the border, and I don't know if we need to go through all these slides here. We'll leave this one up, but I've made a copy of all of them for you at your particular seats. Basically, what they're trying to show in these various slides that you have is that the expansion of the zone from the 25-mile mark to the 75-mile mark did not have a negative impact on our local economy. Quite opposite, they take it a step further and they suggest, MAG is suggesting that actually there's a link between that and perhaps the economy doing better for this border region. They've done some comparative analysis with Santa Cruz County as well as with Cochise. They talk about the impact being negligent on or being nominal or minimal on the cross-border traffic. MAG is suggesting in their resolution and arguments in support of that resolution that if the border was opened up to the entire state, the Customs and Border Protection Group could free up resources because they don't have to process the I-95 form, and could allocate those resources to opening up additional lanes on the border or maybe extending the time of those lanes being open.
When I put the checkpoint in Casa Grande?
Right. When I questioned Mr. Heiss on the second part of that equation, that being, well, do you have any kind of firm commitment from Customs and Border that, in fact, if that border zone is extended to the entire state and you no longer have to process I-95 forms, that in fact they are going to allocate resources to opening up lanes and keeping lanes open longer, and if they're willing to commit to that, how many people are they going to commit to? And the reason why I asked that question was because Mr. Heiss pointed to a study done by the Fresh Produce Association and the University of Arizona, I believe, that quantifies for every additional full-time Customs and Border person at the border, it equates to some $2 million in additional trade coming across that border. And so if you can quantify it on the receiving end for the Fresh Produce Association, the missing link really is CBP committing to, if you don't have to process that I-95,
It's going to be faster.
we're going to make that lane faster or that border faster, more fluid, more transparent, and more efficient, which could arguably support the notion that doing so would create would revitalize an economy and allow stuff to happen. absent of that, I found myself a little reticent to just jump out and support something like this. I had initially put this on your agenda for the first meeting in November because it was before my administrative council meeting. Because I wasn't able to get in front of you guys as a council with this, I didn't feel comfortable making a position with the administrative council, knowing that it would eventually get in front of the mayor as he sits on the executive board. So it's here tonight before you for consideration. MAG is purporting that if the more traffic that you can get through the border, the better off for everybody. And they're suggesting that if you eliminate the need for the I-95 form to access any part of the state of Arizona, then that would be more of a lure and an attraction for people that would have otherwise not gone. And if you can have more people crossing through Mariposa Port of Entry, Beacon City Port of Entry, even I guess that would be the principal ports there for that type of traffic. If you can do that, then everybody benefits, including Nogales, including Santa Cruz County, including Cochise and those areas. So that's what's out in front. That's what the MAG is trying to do. I know that they've gone in front of the Yuma Planning Association. I know that they're, with MAG, they're going to try to get in front of the executive board sometime in the near future, maybe even this month. And I know that they're doing so across the rest of the state. We have an opportunity to weigh in and offer feedback and input. I can see arguments on both sides, but really, staff's willing to take the message of the council back and represent that at the SEGO administrative level, and we'll move forward from that point.
Well, I'm sure I'm going to be confronted with this.
I'm sure.
With the executive board. But one of the things, I wonder how rural communities feel. We always talk about PAG and MAG. And of course, those are the two power councils of government. And yes, it's, over $7 million a day are spent by Mexican citizens in the state of Arizona. I don't remember when we did the 75-mile one that takes you to Tucson. But I remember after this started coming out, I remember people talking that a lot of people didn't favor that. Mr. Anderson, do you remember when that happened? When they decided you could go to Tucson without a permit, without a visa? Was it 15 years ago?
99.
What was it?
99.
99 was it?
Was it 99?
Yeah. There was a lot of opposition, remember?
It said, here it says,
It was in 99.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of opposition from local business people here because, if you want people to come across, I've always said there's plenty for everybody, but I mean, to be able to market your city and to be able for us to keep some of those local dollars that come through Nogales, we as a city have to be very, very, proactive. Remember, we really have to be. We have to identify Nogales as a place that we just don't want to use it as a truck stop. Like a lot of people have said, gas up and then go to Tucson and Phoenix and then spend the real dollars over there in the malls. And now giving them more opportunity to do this, it's something I think we need to go a little further. Mr. Dilly,
Yes, sir.
You don't recommend it, do you? Do you feel, or what do you feel?
Well,
Honestly.
Okay, honestly, staff hasn't had, in my humble opinion, enough time to really critique the numbers that MAG's put forward. If we make the assumption that these numbers are accurate, just looking at that first slide, if I can point your attention to that second black line that goes up vertical in your chart, that's the 1999 movement to extend the 25-mile border to the 75-mile border. The red line in the middle is Santa Cruz County's retail taxable sales line. And you'll notice that, what direction is that line going?
It went down.
Went up.
No, it went up.
It went up.
Okay, there, yeah.
So I'll point here,
Yes.
that's this one. So you'll see,
Right there, oh,
right here,
there.
this line
Yeah.
is when they extended the border from 25 miles to 75 miles. This is our taxable sales in Santa Cruz County. What happened right here in '94?
Evaluation.
Well, the devaluation happened, and also they started this safeguard operation, part of that safeguard operation, and so the combination of both of those things, and what MAG is suggesting, if you look through the various slides that you have, what they're suggesting is that really the market that feeds and fuels our economy here is a market that's loyal. And really, you know, they come across for their essentials in life, you know, just basic living. And so what's really going to affect our market isn't this border issue. What really, the border zone issue, it really is going to be like the inflation of the Mexican peso, the devaluation of it, is what MAG is trying to communicate through these numbers. That's assuming that these numbers are accurate, and if you want me to be totally honest, we haven't had enough time to really, you know, really crunch these things and feel comfortable one way or the other. But if you do go off of this, if you do make this assumption, their argument based off of the numbers that they've crunched, and by the way, I was very impressed with their economist that they had do this. She was a real zinger, Erin, right? She was
Both of them.
She was incredible. But if you assume that these numbers are correct, then their argument is that the more people that you can get through that border, the better off for Nogales, Santa Cruz County, all the way through the state. And their argument is that if you do away with the I-95 process and you just open the whole state up, that you're going to attract more people from our #1 trade partner in Mexico, particularly Sonora, than you otherwise would. So, you know, that's kind of where things are at.
Vice Mayor.
You know, Mr. Dilly, before Nogales was very unique. I mean, we had a captive audience. There was nothing in Mexico. I mean, I remember, you know, people would sell copper tubing. I mean, anything. I mean, they didn't have. There's nothing. There's everything in Mexico now. I don't care where you go. You go to Hermosillo, they got everything we have here. Now they come for, yeah, local people from Nogales, Sonora come for food, they come for a lot of clothing, they come for stuff like that. But again, a lot of the people that used to come to Nogales that would come down here once a month or from Hermosillo, whatever, they don't come now. They have everything they need in Hermosillo. And that's what's happened in Nogales, that the Mexican side has kind of had everything in there. I will tell you a story, back in the late 70s, real quick story. I would sell, this is unbelievable, but I would sell a refrigerator to Hermosillo, and I would tell the people, we'll deliver it in 1 year, and they'd still pay me. Right? I mean, it was an amazing deal. Just the most amazing situation I've ever seen. Never to be redone. That's why all these businesses are no longer here, because it's never going to happen again. Right? But again, we have to offer the people something that they want, something a little different.
They need
right?
to stop here for a little bit.
For them to stop here, even if they just stop one day. It used to be McDonald's was an attraction. McDonald's is all over Mexico. There's no more. You know, people would come here with their eyes looking at a McDonald's. Forget that story, right? I mean, you know, people would come over and they would be shocked at some of the stuff that they could find here.
The fries are warmer here, though.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, so really the issue before you, I mean, Mr. Vice Mayor, I totally agree with the comment. In fact, the economist that talked to us up at MAG suggested the same thing, said from what we can ascertain based off of your clientele and what draws you know, your market and supports you, you would be better off by trying to find a way to keep somebody overnight. And that really where they suggested we put our time and effort. But they suggested that this border issue is only something that would prove to help and move the whole economy of the state at the same time is what they're suggesting. So you know, what's before you tonight is, hey, you know, do we want to, I mean, if it's neutral to us, do we support it? If it's a bone, do we support it? If it's something that will hurt us, then, you know, obviously we go against it. But I kind of need that kind of feedback and ultimate direction from council so that we can act accordingly as we represent the city at these various levels of government.
Go ahead, Mr. Parra.
I don't think it's being neutral. I think we should agree on it. That's my opinion. Because we're going to keep the same people that are spending their money in Nogales. We're going to keep the same people there because they're the middle class individuals that we are, you know, staying in Nogales. The people that have the money have been doing it for years. You're going to Tucson, Phoenix, or you're going to see Sonora place, Chihuahua place, all over the place there. We're not going to change anything. The people that have the money are going to keep on going. So the thing, you know, we're going to keep going. And the sales tax is going to go up, you know, because of the increase in the Mexican government gave, put in. There's an increase of taxes across the border.
Yeah, we should do a lot better with that.
Yeah, so, you know, they, you know,
about that,
yeah, we pay $3, not even $3 for a gallon of gas, and you're paying $4 across the night. You know, that tells you how many people come here and gas. Just that.
As long as they don't
The
have
food.
2 hours in the line.
You gonna say something,
I
Councilman?
have a question for Mr. Dilly. In that process, are they taking into consideration the backflow of traffic, you know, because now they check the traffic going back into Mexico? Are they gonna kind of work together with that to make it a smoother flow?
Maybe that's how we keep them an extra day.
Well, that's true, that's true,
I
you
don't-
know?
you know.
Might be able to get the hotels here.
I don't know, I mean,
They could be selling sodas as they're in line.
so,
Yeah. But has anybody mentioned that? or-
no, nobody's mentioned that, but I got the sense, Councilman, that this is something that Matt could use to add political pressure on the state and the federal government in terms of making necessary improvements to SR 189 and taking full advantage of the investment at the port of entry. I also know that the Transportation Trade Alliance Committee or whatever that was formed by the governor has weighed in and I believe it hasn't come out officially yet, but I believe that they are making a recommendation as a body on the I-11 alignment. And that I-11 alignment, if my information is correct, is being proposed to come up, because they had some coming up through Yuma, San Luis, Douglas. I mean, they're coming from all over the place. Their recommendation is going to be come up through the Mariposa Port of Entry. I think, which is a huge thing for Nogales, Santa Cruz County. We wait to see exactly what they come out, but that's what I heard when the ADOT board came down, and we were rubbing shoulders with people. So all of this kind of coming in line, I think MAD could use something like this to continue the political pressure to get the necessary improvements to happen on that alignment. Happy to answer any additional questions you might have, but I am looking forward.
Do you want us to vote on this, or do you want us to?
I would appreciate it, because then I think that solidifies our position with SEGO.
Is there a motion on approving,
I make a motion.
Second.
okay, what is the motion? Yeah, wait for the motion.
It's gonna be the same. We're all together.
What's the motion, Mr. Anderson?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to go ahead and approve SEGO's resolution number 2013-4, support for the extension of the border zone in Arizona.
Okay.
Second.
Now you can second it, all right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I can take that back to my SEGO meeting too, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, item number 6, discussion and possible action, salary raises for all city employees. And I placed this on the agenda. This is gonna be very sensitive. This is gonna be something that is gonna be disapproval, approval, discussion. The one thing I do want members of the city council is to be able this talk, let's discuss this. And the reason I placed it on the agenda, it's because the last time our employees received a salary increase, if I'm not mistaken, it was in 2007. And I know that there's opposition for it, and I know there's support for it. But I'm gonna hand to you some information that when you get hip surgery and you lay in bed and you stay at home and you have nothing but to read but your budget book.
About the Bible.
No, if I would have read the Bible, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair. No. I came up with some numbers. Some of them will probably scare you, and some of them are probably going to be fair, but it's something for us to discuss. So that's why this body was elected by the people of Nogales, not only to do the work for the citizens of Nogales, but also for our employees of the city who deliver the service that is necessary for our city. So I'm going to hand you one of these binders, and on the cover you're going to see something there that's probably going to shock you, but that doesn't mean anything. That's why we're going to talk about it, and then we come up with something. But after you receive this, it'll give you an idea of where some of our employees are. And I know we've been talking about the classification studies, but also we have to talk about which is key is the cost. You're going to notice that if you open up certain pages, you're going to notice that there's a yellow section, a green, and pink, and then the blue. You're going to notice how many of our employees are way below that level. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want you to look at it, and I put those numbers there, and believe me, those numbers come from me. They don't come from anybody else, because I haven't even shown those numbers to our city manager, and he's about to see them right now for the first time. And I know it's probably going to be a shock, but we have enough EMTs here that could probably take care of him, and if he needs to be shot, we have one or two police officers with a taser that can take care of him too. But I want you to look at it, and those numbers are there for one reason, is for us to negotiate, for us to talk about it, for us to see if it can be done. For every 1%, for every 1% of increase of salary for our city staff, employees, is probably somewhere between $100,000 and $125,000. So if you were to give each employee of the city of Nogales a 1% raise, it would cost the city $100,000 to $125,000, maybe $130,000. That's for every 1%. But what I want to tell you is that yellow color, a lot of our employees are within that. And it's been years. And that yellow color basically is telling you that those employees are not even within our midpoint of our range, recommended range of salaries for our employees. That study was done 13 years ago. So if we depend on every 7 to 10 years to give our employees salary increase of 1, 2, 3, 4%. 4% was the last one in 2007. And by the way, members of the city council, in 2007, I did the recommendation when I became city council. And I had the support from the members of the council to give our employees a 4%. They had not received anything since 2002, the last raise they had at the time. So it seems that we have a trend of doing it every 7, 8, 10 years. So that's why I placed this on the agenda. I know it's very sensitive. And it's out there for discussion, so, Mr. Parada.
I'm glad we're on the same page now. On this one. Because, you know,
You have to hear that, Mr. Parada.
Just talking to most of some of the employees, I've been surveying this since we started this, talking about races. We had about the same range over here. The only thing that was different was 35 to 50, we had it at 5%.
5%. Well,
But
that's
the rest was what you have here.
Well, that's basically, that's why I placed it for discussion. I know that Mr. Dilly, you'll have an opportunity to speak. You know, I know you're dying to say
No,
something.
I'm quite comfortable.
And I know that, I know to have a community or to have our city with good reserve money, you know, 17-20% and stuff, that's great. That's great. But how long can we go? How long can we go before we help our employees? We do something for our employees. And just for information, members of the council, some of you will remember, the $500 that we give our employees right now for Christmas was also my recommendation, because at the time, and Mr. Dilly can attest to it, at the time I went to Mr. Dilly, that was my first year as mayor, talking about a raise. And Mr. Dilly, basically, we talked about the numbers, and he said, you know what, Mr. Mayor, you know, I don't think it's the time. And yes, it was different. And we all approved the $500, and we've been doing that for going on 3 years now. So I don't know if $500 is something that a one-time deal we should do for our employees. I think we should put them up to a certain level. Just a little bit, Mr. Machado, you stop me if I'm out of bounds. But there's some departments that are asked to put their lives on the line. There are some departments that are asked to be qualified in certain positions above a lot of departments, and I'll give you an idea. One of them is the fire department, and most of our EMTs and firefighters are not even near the mid-range. You can see on the spreadsheet there, not even on the mid-range. If we continue giving them a 2% or a 4%, they'll never get to the mid-range. Now, when that classification compensation study was done 12 years ago, 13 years ago, it was done through the information of all the directors and city manager to a group that came and did the compensation classification study. I don't know if it was done right or wrong, but it puts us in a position that you'll never get to that position. No way. No way in hell you'll ever get to that position unless you're put in that position to start with, those employees that are way below, and then you start again. Or like Mr. Diaz has been asking for classification study. Is it time that the classification study is attached to a compensation study? I think yes. I think the time is ready. So do we do something like this right now and then direct staff to maybe look into a compensation study for the beginning of the year so that we can actually see how far we need to get some of these employees to those positions? Morale within some of the departments is very bad. And it's not always because, you know, they don't feel comfortable with the city or anything. It's because actually they don't feel that we've been doing anything for them for many years. And you know, I know that when I put this out and I was going to, that's why members of the city council, you didn't see this until right now. And Mr. Dilly is probably in shock right now because he hadn't seen this either. We talked about the the agenda item, but nothing about this. So I present this to you. I want you to let's have discussion, let's talk about it. I honestly believe, deep in my heart, that we're in the right direction, the city of Nogales is, and I believe that it's gonna get better. It's got to get better next year. There's several, Mr. Parra, there's several building permits that have been submitted to the city of Nogales. More than we've seen in 10 years. 4 warehouses, all of them over 100,000 square feet that are gonna be employing people. The plasma center, 60 people. 3 restaurants opening right now, permits are out. A clothing store. We haven't seen that in years. I haven't seen that in 13 years. As a matter of fact, one of the developers told me that the reason he's building 2 of the warehouses is because he feels comfortable with his city government. And he feels comfortable with being in Nogales, and he feels comfortable with the port of entry being open and all these few good things happening. So if these people feel comfortable and they're willing to spend and invest in our community, I think we, as members of the council, we should also invest in our staff and our employees so that they can continue doing a better job and look for the future. We have to. You know, we have a general plan. We have great ideas right now. Let the good ideas that we have right now, let them follow through with this vision and these opportunities for our employees. Mr. Parra, yes?
I'd like to make that motion to approve it.
Anybody else? Discussion before we go? Okay, well, let's have the motion first.
What was the motion?
No, we haven't had a motion yet.
I'm making a motion.
You're making
But
a
to
motion.
approve what?
To approve
The salaries for the city employees. A raise for the city employees.
Yeah, but we haven't settled on what that raise would encompass.
No, we're not saying that. What we're gonna do is, you want to make a motion for discussion, Mr. Parra?
Right, we have a
Okay.
second, we can discuss.
Okay, do we have a second for motion for discussion? Okay. All right, so now we have discussion. Yes, Mr. Parra, you have something to say?
Say, I'm all for it.
Okay. And yes, anybody else? Mr. Diaz?
Okay, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, Mr. Dilly, I'm all for giving everybody a raise and all that, but I think we should, I think we need to have a study session as far as, is this raise gonna be a one-time deal? I think we should have step increases like every year and do something where every year our employees, you know, they'll get a little bit more, they'll get a raise, make it an ongoing thing, not just, okay, we're doing it tonight and that's it, you know, for another 10 years or whatever it is. We have to crunch the numbers, where's the money coming from?
That's where I was gonna make the motion, because right now, we made a motion to discuss this. My motion that I was gonna make was, the motion is that to give this to staff, and to staff to come back to us on the December meeting, telling us exactly the cost of it, and at that time, we make a final decision. But
make it ongoing also, not just the one
that's
time
why,
and keep-
that's why we need to do the classification and compare, the comparison. See, if we don't do that, we'll never get that document. Open up one of the pages and look where it says recommended,
I saw that, yeah.
okay? Look at the yellow, and tell me, these people are not even there. And you know how long these people have been working?
20 years.
Okay. They're not even to the midpoint. Now, we expect everything from our employees. We, you know, I didn't even want to say this, but you know, the trashy airways in Nogales trash our employees every day. They trash us up here. They trash Mr. Dooley. They trash everybody because supposedly we are our employees, con la palabra que usan ellos, no la quiero decir. And they have to face that every day. Because people want to talk just because they have a mouth to talk. And it's not right. When I was a public works director, I remember one time trying to present something like this, and I almost got my head chewed off on the podium. And I remember Mr. Kissinger telling me, "Don't do that again, you're gonna get fired." And I said, "I don't care." And that's when we did the first compensation, the classification compensation study. That was 12 years ago. Mr. Doyle, you worked at the post office. Did you did you go 12 years without getting a raise?
No, sir.
I know you didn't. And Mr. Parada, you didn't either, working at the, I know you didn't. Why? Because you don't do that. You know, if we could do a 2% every other year or something like that, hey, that'd be nice. But if we wait every 7 to 8 years to do something, we have to catch up one day. And that's the reason what I want to recommend right now and make a motion is that we make a motion that this is given to Mr. Dilly and to Mr. and Aaron. They know they need to crunch that. They need to bring it back to us on the December meeting, and at that time we make a decision, and they'll present to us how much it's going to cost us. Like I said, for every 1%, it's $100,000 to $125,000, and that's probably, it's not higher than that. So if somebody, yes, if somebody says 2%, you're going to spend $2 million or $1 million, I don't know what school they went to, but that's not, they didn't take math in school. Because if 1%, and Aaron, if I'm wrong, correct me.
I can give you the right number.
Give me the right number.
135.
135, okay.
Per one.
And you're correct on that.
I have it right here.
Okay, all right. So for every 1%,
Funded positions.
is 100, for all the employees, eh?
Is this based on that, on these?
No. The reason I went with these numbers, Councilman, is because I went and I looked at the budget book, and I went line by line, and I looked at all the employees, where they were, and I know a lot of them. I know that they've been employed with the city for 10, 15, maybe even more, and they're still there. And 4%, 7 years ago, they probably got, I don't know, $300 or something, $400. That was it. That was 7 years. Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I agree that, my whole deal is show me the money. Where is it gonna come from, right? 135 doesn't sound like a lot or whatever. It may not be a lot. We may be able to handle it. We're coming into a very, very, very important season. We're coming up to Christmas. Are we gonna be able to legitimately get more tax revenue than we did last year? I hope so. I hope so.
Well, we have to do it.
I hope so, because again, is the city of Tucson getting more tax revenue than they did last year? No, they're not. Phoenix is, right, for whatever reason. A lot of cities are not. I'm not against an increase. We have to discuss whether the $500 would continue or not continue. We also have to discuss, which is coming up, it's been on every news except in Nogales. No one discusses this. Nobody discusses the health insurance, right? I mean, everybody's going to this. Nogales, thank God, there's a very good health insurance. If I remember correctly, the city has, the last 2 years, I think, or the last 2 years, am I right, Mr. Dilly, that we have not, the city themselves has absorbed whatever the increase was in the health insurance? Without raising.
It was last year.
We've done it twice.
2 years.
We've done it.
2 years in a row. How much was it last year? It was like, you remember it was $300,000, $400,000?
It was a 5%.
5%.
It was, the increase was actually 5%?
Do you know
5% of the premium.
Do you know what that equates to in dollars?
100 and some thousand.
No, it was more.
A little bit more.
It was like 300,000. The year before, how big was it? Was it 10% the year before? 11%? What did that equate to, $600,000?
Probably. I'm sorry, I don't know the number.
Well, those are numbers that we have to look at too, because we're absorbing that. And again, I'm not against, again, bringing up the Bible, You know, I have to say, the employees of the city are very good. They really are. Luke made the comment that, and that's why I mentioned this, because I really believe this, the people who got the city, the workers are very, very good. You know, a worker that just does what he's required to do is an unproductive worker. That was Luke. And I believe in the city of Nogales, all the employees I see do more than what they're required to do. Right? Very few do I see that I can actually say, don't do what they're required to do. But the majority, 99%, do more than that, right? So I'm not against it. I just want to see where it's going to come from, and are we going to get caught in any problem, right?
Well, that's
and
why-
again, we have to discuss, are they going to keep the $500, or does that $500 take go away? Do we, is this like the Social Security, where you come up and they increase your check, and then they take it away in Medicare? You get a 1.5% increase, and the Medicare increases, you know, by double that.
That's why you never give somebody a 2%. Never give somebody a 4%. You know, if you give somebody a 2% where it says there, look at the numbers attached to that. That person's making $60,000 a year. 2% for that person should be good.
Well,
But if you're looking at a 10% when a person's doing below 35,000, come on, that's $3,500 a year more.
I'm not saying,
but what I'm
not
saying-
saying it doesn't make a difference. Obviously, it makes a difference at all levels, right? It makes a big difference. So I'm not discussing with that. All I'm saying is, I agree, we have to hand it to Mr. Dilly there, and for him to go ahead and show us where the money's coming from, as Mr. Diaz said. I'm, you know, if we can be, if the money is there, the money's coming in, and we can show a money stream, how we can go ahead and pay 2%, 3%, or 4%, I have no problems with it, but I wanna see that.
Yeah, well,
I wanna
that's the
see that,
thing,
because
that's
if we're
what
gonna
we're
come up
gonna
with it, if we're gonna be deficit financing for the next 10 years, I can tell you right now, we're gonna be on this deal here about Border City declaring bankruptcy, right? And I
Well,
don't
you
wanna
know,
see that.
Mr. Hannes, yeah, you know, we'll always have a lot of money in the reserves if we don't spend it, of course. I mean, we have to, you know, we're not, this is not,
We
you know, you just said right now about the lease. You said, we have great credit. Why not use the 1%?
But we can't borrow money to pay salaries.
Yeah, well, of course.
That's against everybody's, deal. We can't do that.
No, but was I gonna say, yes, pull $2.7 million out of the contingency to buy some trucks?
No.
No? Of course, well, that's a smart decision you made. And I know this is a smart decision that we've been making as a council. And that's why I said what I said in the beginning, that we needed to, I wanted to be rational, I wanted to be very civil about this, and you know, I think it's long overdue. And the $500 that you say, well, that's the whole thing. When Mr. Dilly brings this back to us on the first week of, the first Wednesday of December, let's make a decision on those $500 at the time. We'll make a decision on this. Because what I want on this, members of the council, that if we make a decision to approve, that this is active January the 1st. Not active after the budget of next year. Or 15, no, January the 1st, active. And that's what I'm hoping, members of the council, that we can be successful.
Do we have to make an amendment to that, to the motion?
No, the motion you made right now is for discussion. Yeah.
Well, it's something else.
The only motion you made right now is that you're gonna give raises.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody's made a motion to adopt
This.
proposed raises.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
And to give it
To give this to Mr.
administration.
Dilly with that motion, and give this to Mr. Dilly, he comes back on the first Wednesday and telling us exactly what the cost is gonna be with these numbers. And then at that time, we make a decision as a council. Is it okay?
Just look into it, just picking on one department, forget about the fire department, they get into the main point.
Yeah. Well, that's what I looked at.
You know,
I think I spent more time on that one, looking through the pages of the budget. So, do we have a vote on giving this to Mr. Dilly and him bringing it back to us?
So moved.
All right, all in favor, is that Mr. Parra, Mr. I promoted it. Right there. Now we're really gonna look at the Bible. Okay, Mr. Dilly, the motion is gonna be that that document you take with you and you bring it back to us on the next council meeting, the first Wednesday of December. Which is the date for that, Lindsay? December the 4th, and with the numbers, the costs, with those exact numbers, and at that time we will make a decision if we're going to decide on those numbers or if we're going to do any changes or discuss also the $500 cost. Did you have anything to say, Mr. Chairman?
Just a question procedurally. I think that this particular discussion item would be well served having maybe a study session before your regular meeting on that day. Are you guys amenable to something like that so that we can hammer through the details and then that puts you in a position to make a decision during your regular meeting?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So, do we vote on that? Okay. We're okay?
We're
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, members of the council. Item number 7, consent agenda. Consent agenda is from A through G. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Everything in consent agenda passes. Orders, number 8. Number 1, consideration possible action of order 2013-11-093.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 2, consideration of possible action of order 2013-11-096.
We have a discussion on that?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Before the motion? Yes, okay, go ahead.
Can we have the finance department give me a little update on this?
Go ahead, Aaron.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you.
Before you go further, if there was one motion, can we jump to discussion or should we wait for the second motion? Because Esther made a motion on this one.
On the salary?
No, on the number 2, on the orders, on the last one. She said so moved. So should we have a second?
No second.
Is it okay if we go to discussion and then come back to it?
make the motion.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. If I may, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, state statute, as you see there in your staff summary and also in the order, sections 36-2234 and 2239, both allow the city to increase their ambulance rates every year, just on an automatic basis. This year, the state is allowing an increase of 2.4%. So procedurally, what we do, go to the state website, it's the Bureau of Emergency Medical Services. You print off this letter, you sign it, send it off to them, and they come back and basically afford you the automatic increase. The majority of cities and fire districts and ambulance providing service districts throughout the state take advantage of this on an annual basis. And so we're bringing this to you all so you all know what's going on.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Just, Aaron, I understand the increase. What has happened, and I don't know if I can ask this question, what has happened to the collection on the ambulance that we have for that company doing it? I mean, have we really increased our collections, or are we, I understand you were in the Washington Post being quoted. Yes, and the New York Times and the LA Times.
No, Mr. Mayor, if I may, thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, Angel Suarez is the person who knows a lot about fire district and the collections. I apologize, I do not know those numbers off the top of my head. And so I can't speak to that point.
Could you tell the council here what you were quoted on the Washington Post?
Go ahead. If it makes you feel good.
No,
Or if it makes.
Sure.
Vice Mayor feel good.
Kurt, he ran the story first, right?
Just
no,
don't vote on it or don't discuss
no,
it.
please,
man.
please.
It's past, this way over.
Obviously, the city of Nogales bills for ambulance service, right? We have a state board approved rate for ALS, BLS, mileage, and waiting times. And so we have been approved that rate. We bill it, right? We bill it, whether it be to insurance companies, whether we bill it to the federal government, to access Medicare, Medicaid. In the case of, I was quoted, right, we would love to be reimbursed 100% of the costs incurred in activities resulting from Border Patrol or Customs. But we're reimbursed at the Medicare rate, which is a fixed rate, and so it is what it is. That is just an example. I wasn't quoted on the last part, I was quoted on. We'd love to get all the money.
Did you say it is what it is, though?
I think that was Mr. Kissinger, he was also quoted.
Did your picture come out also in the paper?
Thank goodness, no, I did not.
All right, is it okay? All right. We need to vote on something here? Motion, we need a motion. Okay, let's start again. Councilwoman? Your motion?
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Consideration possible action, resolution R 2013-11-010. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Nogales recognizing the City of Nogales as a Purple Heart community. I placed this on the agenda, members of the City Council, for your approval, so that we can be part of this and that we can be recognized nationally, and we can identify our past and present people that are still with us, that served our country, and received Purple Hearts, and we identify them, and we as a city recognize them, and also be part of the national committee to do this. With your approval, if it's okay, we do that.
Second.
Second. Go ahead.
Just a question, Mr. Diaz, maybe you can answer this. How many Purple Heart recipients do we have in the community?
A whole bunch.
A herd. It's a herd.
No, we have a lot.
What is the whole? Was there 500 or 200?
Oh, probably more than that, probably over 1,000.
Yeah.
Well,
And
You
a lot of
know,
them,
with World War II,
Yeah,
and all
Some
that.
of them are gone, but.
some of them are gone, but
recipients-
we still have a lot of them that are alive.
Right. Still lives the ones.
Matter of fact, I know of one that's got 3 of them, no, Charlie, right?
Yeah.
Charlie's got 3.
Is it Charlie?
Yeah, yeah.
3 years.
But I think as a city, we should do that recognition and be part.
It's
of the
important,
community.
it's
Yeah.
important to do that.
Yeah, and something we could do probably jointly within the city and the Legion and the
Or maybe the Nogales International could come up with a list of all Purple Heart or silver medal or bronze medal winners, or have we had a? Well, yeah. How about the Medal of Honor?
I don't know if we've had any. Do we know?
I think there's a resident in Santa Cruz County, but.
No. If he had, I don't know if he has Silver Star.
Purple Heart, yeah, like 3
He's
Purple
got a Silver
Hearts.
Star? Charlie's father had a Silver Star. Yeah, no.
Charlie had a silver
Papa.
star?
Okay, so, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, number 2, consideration possible action of resolution R 2013-11-011. This is a resolution of City Council of Nogales, Arizona, committing the resources of the Office of the Mayor to work with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and the United States Conference of Mayors to end homelessness among veterans.
So move.
Second. Thank you very much. I placed this on the agenda because right now we could probably, I don't think we can identify veterans, homeless veterans in our community. but like I mentioned when I was given the honor to speak at the wall on Veterans Day, that it's best that we do this right now. Says us homeless. That we prepare ourselves. There's funding, and I'm gonna need to sit down with you, Hector, on this. There's funding on HUD. I don't know if you're aware of it, for homeless, Veterans Affairs.
Yeah, it's a VASH program.
Yes, that one, that we can maybe start looking into and see if we can identify funding for the future. Or maybe even have, like, you know, some communities I know have homes that are like the emergency status, that we can, would you stand up and see if you unless, because I know that a lot of the communities have those, and that somebody becomes homeless from one day to another with, you know, that we can afford them an opportunity to stay there or something.
Yes, HUD right now is opened up a program called VASH, but Nogales is one of the a small community that didn't qualify for that program, but we can partner up with Tucson and maybe Green Valley, because they have more veterans there, homeless.
Did we not qualify because we don't have any veterans, or is it because of per capita?
Per capita, yeah.
Okay.
But Nogales Housing Authority can participate with the VASH program in Tucson and
Okay.
Green Valley.
Also that we could partner with that, probably.
Yes.
Good, that's good to hear. Maybe down the road, we could sit down and then maybe tweak this so that we can have something there, a document that at that time we can present it if we need to.
Yes. Now, once we participate with Tucson and Green Valley, we would have to accept veterans from other communities,
Of
like
course.
Tucson and Green Valley.
No, these veterans served our nation, our country.
Right.
It doesn't matter if they were born in Nogales or not.
Right.
If they
But
need somewhere to stay,
I
they
just
should
wanna,
be able to.
I just want to explain, it's not a VASH program for one community.
That's for the whole.
It's for the whole.
Yes. Yeah, I had one of the, I think I mentioned it at the wall, one of the patients that got surgery, same time I did, was in the transition home, and I, you know, while I was going through recovery the first week, I was just imagining what he was going through, because I was at home, I was, you know, I had my wife taking care of me, helping me on this guy, by himself. I just can't even imagine how he was doing it.
The VASH program doesn't have a home. They work like a Section 8 program.
Yes,
They give
I
you a
know.
voucher and they go for an apartment.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I read it, I was reading it, and but it's something to have, something we've never had. Were you gonna say something, Mr. Parra?
Yeah, it's a big effort has been going on getting the homeless veterans, getting them jobs, getting trained up,
Yes.
giving them education and so forth. But the problem is that some of those vets don't know that they have those benefits.
Right.
You know, they go to the VA and get healed and so forth. Some, you have to get them, pull them out, and talk to them and address to them and make it happen.
Yeah, because I was talking to some of the people at the VA, and they say that a lot of them are addicted to drugs
Right.
and alcohol. So you have to go out there and outreach and bring them in and tell them, hey, there's something here we can offer. Because if you don't do that, they continue being homeless, and that's what they're used to. Yeah. All right, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have. Okay, number 3, consideration possible action on resolution R 2013-11-012. This is another item I placed on the agenda. This is a resolution of the City Council, of the Council of the City of Nogales, supporting resilient communities for America. And this is actually something that started, when I went to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the mayor of Sacramento, and it was Kevin Johnson, the basketball player that used to play with the Phoenix Suns. He's the mayor over there. And he's the one working very closely on this. And what it means is that you have to diversify, communities have to diversify, have to be resilient to be able to have greener areas, be more environmentally sound, and be able to attract, kind of like our general plan, where you have areas where you identified and the people voted for us to be able to develop areas like that so that we can be able to attract business to come in and people to relocate in Nogales. And I think a border community like Nogales is right on the, right at, you know, at the point of doing that because of all that's happening with the new port. And actually the port is a green port, is it, Mr. Hunt, Mr. Dilly? Our port of entry is green, it's the building.
I don't know if they achieved their LEED certification or not, but I know.
But I know
tried
that we're
for it.
going into that,
Yeah,
yeah. And if they complete that, that shows that they're, you know, they're gonna be, with the environment. And we've always had the dust abatement program with the state of Arizona. So we had to, start, being part of this. So I placed this on this, so the resolution, so it's basically like, you know, the resolution is in support of, so that if we can accomplish this and get some more information, I'll get some more information and place it in your copies of what exactly it's part of it, and then with that we can be part of it, and then maybe look for in the future if there's any type of fundings that could come along with this. I know that Supervisor Maynard was going to present something like this to the supervisors. I don't know if he did. He wanted to do this about 2 months ago, but I'm not sure if he did, though. But I think it'd be great if the city and the county both would be part of the resilient communities. So, any discussion of this? No? Okay, did we make a motion on this?
No.
No? Do I have a motion?
Second.
Everybody's going, I'm acting like Mr. Hanesian now. What up, Rudy? Yeah, Rudy. You know.
The drugs.
Yeah, that's what it
You heard
is.
what happened in Toronto.
Watch out. Oh, boy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we're going to the biggie one. City manager's report. Mr. Dilly.
I'll follow suit with the 3B, the 3B rule. I just wanted to let you know that Nogales definitely is still on the radar with Maricopa Association of Governments, the political power that exists up there. MAG has a committee, the Economic Development Advisory Committee, that is comprised of various mayors across or elected officials across the county region. They met last week. They invited Nogales, Arizona, Nogales, Sonora to go up. I was asked to represent the city in that meeting and just talk to them about how things are going here, the continued need to support our economy, and the comments that were made not only by myself but the representative from Nogales, Sonora, were received very well by that group. They were very grateful that we came, that we continue to promote the good trade and commerce that needs to exist at the border. So that was a very productive meeting. I know right after that meeting, I was pulled off to the side by Mayor Schoaf, Litchfield Park. Mayor, I talked to you a little bit about that. Mayor Schoaf said, hey, listen, there's a lot of mayors up here that are really trying to push ADOT to make those necessary improvements to SR 189. Not the interim improvements, but the ultimate solution. And so it was nice to hear somebody pull us off to the side and say, hey, listen, we're thinking about you, we're rooting for you. He had asked for some information on the resolution that the council passed and the board of supervisors passed to help him help us, and so I sent that information off to him, so that was very good. I addressed the issues with SEGO on this border extension. My guess is that it probably will not make it on the November meeting for the board, but if it does, it's probably only going to be a discussion item, and we'll go through the process of moving that resolution forward. We're working to prepare ourselves for the Christmas parade, which is right around the corner. I cannot believe it's the 13th of November already, and we're this far through the calendar year. But it's exciting as well. So we're planning on that, and the employee election is probably going to land somewhere in the week of the 13th of December. So as we get closer to that, we'll make sure that you guys know about it, and you're absolutely welcome to come and participate in any way possible. Love to have you guys there. It's a great thing to have you with us. And I think that concludes my comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Dilly. Any future agenda items, Mr. Council?
I'd like an update on the Paluduro.
Paluduro? Okay. Mr. Dilly, an update on that, anything with you? Anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I'd
Yes,
like
go ahead.
an update on the abatement,
On the houses?
Yes, on the houses and the properties.
The dilapidated homes?
Yes.
That one?
Members of the council, Mr. Mayor, are these items you want on the agenda, or do you want updates?
Discussion?
You want discussion?
Actually, I think we need, put it on the agenda.
Cool, thank you, thank you.
Yes?
I'd like an update, the Unisource,
Oh, okay. The Unisource, the franchise?
The office.
That one? The franchise?
well, for as far as the
The
office.
office, yeah. Mr. Machado, I think you've been talking about that. Okay. Anything else? No? Yes. This meeting's adjourned.